Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Matt Kerr, and this is the Hot Action Podcast. And we are back for another week of gambling excitement on the NFL. It is week 2. We learned a lot from week 1. As you can see on the screen, there is a lot of red. I started the NFL season going 7-9 this week. Made it through in Survivor. Lost in both of my fantasy leagues. This is what we prepare all year for. We spend the whole off season wondering what might happen. Getting invested. Figuring out all of our takes. And then when the rubber meets the road, we go 7-9. Well, hopefully we can do better going forward. We did survive in Survivor, which is a worthwhile endeavor. We've used the Arizona Cardinals, and only the Arizona Cardinals, and we are through. All right. Let's go over what happened in the previous week, and then we will make our picks for this week. All right. Firstly, we started out in Dallas at Philadelphia. We started out with Dallas at Philadelphia. Season opener. Philadelphia felt like they were in control of most of the game, other than, starting the game off with a disastrous player expulsion for a spitting attack. Philadelphia's run defense looked very questionable without Carter. Yeah, it was a tough game. They spent, I think, no time covering this 7.5 point spread. Actually, I don't know why I said they felt like they were driving. I think they started by losing the lead. Or they started by going down very quickly. So it was not a great game for Philadelphia. They did manage to win, but it was not exactly pretty. And maybe Dallas is not as bad as a lot of people prognosticated. We'll see. Something to watch going forward. Then we went to Sao Paulo, Brazil to watch Kansas City play the Chargers. I bet on Big Bro Kansas City to mop up the Chargers, but they just couldn't get anything going. They were trying everything, but the most interesting play of the day, they had Travis Kelce run into Xavier Worthy and maybe dislocate his shoulder. I don't know. Either way, he's banged up. He's not playing for a bit. And the Chargers, Herbert was air raiding them all night. They win 27-21. The Chiefs do not cover. The Chargers win outright with points. So that's another L for your boy. Starting out the year strong. One thing to mention is I've talked many times on this program about the rule. The rule is in primetime divisional game, you take the points. I forgot about the rule this week, and I forgot about it in every matchup, and it worked 2 out of 3 times. I did get the Vikings correct though, because the Bears are terrible. But don't forget about the rule. We'll be talking about that going forward. I forgot about the rule, and I regret it. All right, and then in the morning of Sunday, we got Tampa Bay at Atlanta. We took Tampa Bay minus 2.5 points. They win by 3 due to some Atlanta special teams errors. We'll take it. 3-point win, 2.5 point spread, win by half a point. You love to see it. But the football gods giveth and they taketh away. The next game we have is Pittsburgh at the Jets. The Jets would win, or the Pittsburgh would win by 2, and the line is 2.5, so we would lose that game. This game was a crazy, high-scoring extravaganza. It's hard to know what to make of either of these teams. I can't imagine either offense is as high-flying as they showed in this game, or their defenses are as bad. I imagine that the Jets and Pittsburgh both have more stout defense than this. It'll be interesting to see what's going on with these teams going forward, but both looked pretty crazy in that game. Then we had Miami at Indianapolis. I predicted Miami. I was like, oh, we're getting a half point. Nothing to be too upset about there. And then Indianapolis proceeded to give them a bare bottom spanking for 4 quarters. People were saying that I was watching Red Zone, so I didn't watch all of this, but people were saying that Indy scored on all of their drives. That's crazy. Yeah, they just couldn't be stopped. And Miami, I think they turned the ball over 4 times. Tua was just like totally in the zone. He was like, I'm gonna pass it to the guys in white and blue all day. No teal boys for me. All right, that's all I have to say on that one. Then we have Carolina at Jacksonville. I took 3.5 points. I'm like, both these teams are bad. Why not just take some points? Terrible decision. Carolina is really bad, and Jacksonville wins 26-10. Another L for your boy. So far, so good. 5 L's, 1 dub. Finally, we get to a place where I get some wins here. We got the Giants playing Washington at Washington. I took Washington minus 6.5. They cover that spread easily. Giants defense did not manage to get, they weren't as dangerous as we might have hoped in the offseason, and their offense was absolutely terrible. Russell Wilson was under assault all day. Just nothing great happening. So that game ended 6-21 for the Commanders. Then we had Arizona at New Orleans. Arizona is giving up 6.5 points. That's what we bet on. And they would win by a half point when you include the line. Arizona came out pretty good and then slowly tried to give the game away, as they often do, but they managed to squeak out a cover. We love a cover. All right, and then, when a thesis is proven correct, we love to see it. The thesis was that 5.5 points is too much for Cincinnati against Cleveland. Cincinnati starts off slow. Let's take Cleveland was the thesis, and it worked. And Cleveland could have won this game outright if they had not fungulied their special teams. I believe they missed 2 field goals. This game was close. It should have been a Cleveland win, but Cleveland are deeply dysfunctional, so they lost. So keep that in mind. Cleveland can, defend. They can, they also get a lot of calls in the dog pound, so don't forget about that going forward. So then we got Vegas at New England. We took New England. Didn't work out. They started okay in the first half, and then they didn't do anything in the second half. Vegas took care of business. Won by 7. They did not need their extra points on the line to get that done. And then a game that really broke my heart. We have San Francisco at Seattle. We took Seattle plus 2.5 at home. And everything felt like it was going our way. Our way, yes, I'm a Seattle fan. Until in the dying moments of the game, Seattle has the ball. It's 4th down. They can probably put this game on ice if they get the first down, but they punt the ball back to San Fran. San Fran goes down the field and scores. Seattle tries to return fire with their own scoring drive, but they need a touchdown to win the game. And Sam Darnold would fumble on the final play, and San Francisco would recover for the win. Absolutely heartbreaking loss. And the worst part was a lot of the stuff I said about San Francisco is true. They were kind of banged up going into the game, and after the game, Seattle's hard-nosed defense has their offense all sorts of banged up going into next week. Quarterback injured, starting tight end injured, wide receiver 2 injured. Yeah. That's all there is to say. Looks like Seattle's defense is what they're meant to be. Offense needs some work. And San Francisco seems pretty banged up. They're 1-0, but I feel like the year from hell will continue. They have a really easy schedule, so we'll see what happens. All right, and then Tennessee at Denver. We took Denver minus 7.5 because Tennessee has a lot of stuff that's not really going their way. Rookie QB in his first start, not a very good head coach. But Denver was covering for the majority of this game. They tried to let it slip away at the end, but they did not. They held fast. They kept it together. But yeah, not much to learn there. Denver's decent. Covering a 7.5 point spread is good. All right, moving on. We have Detroit at Green Bay. I thought Detroit was going to be the team to beat in this division. Maybe they still are. We do not want to overreact to week one, but they got pantsed. All their skill position players did not much of anything. I think the O-line has not congealed under its new formation, and Green Bay is playing, mid-season form already. And then we have the final afternoon game from the schedule. We have Houston at the Rams. We took the Rams minus 2.5. And the final score was 9-14. The Rams cover. Houston's offense sputters. Again, none of the skill position players do much of anything. Looks like both defenses are pretty good. But yeah, I think Houston's, again, the Stroud boys might be in trouble right now. They need some help. And now, for the game that inspired the thumbnail this week, we took Baltimore plus a half point. And we were feeling good about that basically all evening. Until the final moments. With about 4 minutes left in the game, Baltimore is just trying to run out the clock. And the Bills force a fumble in Baltimore territory. Get it back, score. Baltimore goes 3 and out. Buffalo gets the ball back. They go and they kick a field goal to win. Absolute crazy madness. They go from having a 91% chance to win the game to nothing in a matter of minutes. It's absolutely insane. Oh, sorry, 99.1, not 91. Just absolutely perplexing. I've never seen such a thing in my football watching life. And that's all I have to say. That was an absolutely heartbreaking loss for anyone gambling on Baltimore. I think there were times in the week last week where you could get Baltimore at plus 1.5, and it was swinging all over the place. But yeah, it was truly, truly devastating loss there. Then on Monday, we took Minnesota minus 1.5, and this was another similar kind of outcome to the Baltimore-Buffalo game where Chicago was winning all evening until the final moments where Minnesota makes a huge rally, a huge comeback, and wins the game, putting Chicago where they live, which is the basement. Unfortunate, but, New Year, same Bears, bumbling around. We heard a lot of stuff about how everything's going to be different, but is it? We'll find out. We'll find out going forward. The one thing about week one is you get a lot of data, but the challenge is not to overreact to the new data. You have to stay calm. You have to steel your mind against some of the stuff you saw, is going to just be random noise in the data. All sorts of crazy stuff happens in the NFL year. And a lot of it happens in week one. Some of these teams aren't ready to play yet. Some of these teams have not congealed yet. They're not in form. We don't know whether a bad loss was because the team is bad or because they just haven't got their poop in a group yet. But we're going to find out this week. All right, so on Thursday, we've got Washington and Green Bay. Green Bay is giving up 3.5 points at home. Thursday games tend to be a little bit sloppy. I think both these teams are fairly evenly matched. I'm taking the points. This Green Bay team might be a wagon. I might be being dumb. I've bet against. This will be me betting against them 2 weeks in a row. But yeah, I like this Washington team with points. And again, Thursday games often get all slopped up, get all sloppy. We're just gonna take the points and you know, we're gonna pray. All right, then we got the Rams at Tennessee Sunday morning. I'll be taking the Rams. Tennessee's getting 5.5 points at home. We like a home dog, but this LA Rams defense is nasty. The offense is, on their day, they can absolutely get rolling. This Tennessee defense is going to have to figure out who they're defending, whether it's Nakua, whether it's Devontae, whether it's Kyron, and Stafford can sling it. So until this Tennessee team shows me that they got something, I'm just going to, assume they're the same team from last year that, failed to cover, 15 games. It was crazy. You could just automatically select against the Titans, so. All right, then we got Seattle at Pittsburgh, and now I'm all messed up on this. If Seattle makes one play in that previous game, I'm riding high. I'm thinking this Seattle defense might kill Aaron Rodgers. We're gonna go to DK Metcalf into three personal fouls throughout the course of the game because he's got rage issues. But Pittsburgh at home. I don't know if our offense is gonna be able to move the ball, but I don't know. Is this just gonna be a slop fest? Do I take the points here? I think I'm gonna take Seattle. It's stupid. I'm terrible at betting Seattle, so always fade my Seattle picks, but I'm doing it. All right, then we got Buffalo -6.5 at the Jets. Now, I am not a believer in this Jets team. I think Buffalo's in the cream of the crop. That was a crazy win last week. It's very trappy. The Jets getting 6.5 at home feels like a trap game a bit, but I'm just going to believe in Buffalo and, not think about it too hard. All right, now we've got Chicago at Detroit. Detroit probably doesn't want to start 0-2. One of these teams is going to start 0-2. These teams are both 0-1 at the moment. If I'm putting money on it, I'm taking Detroit -5.5. I think they're going to use this as a get-right game. Detroit knows what Chicago's going to be trying to do. So, this goes both ways, but Detroit's just the much better side talent-wise, so we're taking Detroit. All right, then we got Giants at Dallas. Dallas is getting 5.5 points on the road. Dallas, they did some interesting stuff last week. I don't know if I'm being silly here, but I'm going to take some points. I'm taking the points, betting against Dallas. Dallas covered last week. Against the spread, Dallas is 1-0, and the Giants are 0-1 against the spread, or, in reality, however you want to look at it. So maybe this is crazy. And another interesting game. We got Cleveland getting 10.5 points at Baltimore. At Baltimore makes this really interesting. I'm going to be taking Baltimore -10.5 and holding my nose a bit. This Baltimore team is really good. They're extremely talented. Cleveland was just able to hold one of the best offensive teams in the league to under 20 points. And if you hold Baltimore to under 20 points, Cleveland's going to cover, right? So this is tough. All right, moving on. We're taking Baltimore. We got San Francisco -4.5 at New Orleans. Now, again, this is tough. San Francisco's super banged up. New Orleans is very bad. And they're at home. They're getting 4.5 points. My Seahawks fan heart makes me want to take New Orleans. But I'm just going to believe that Christian McCaffrey and, the gang of ragtag skill position players that they're going to have for this game and Mac Jones can get it done. That defense will probably give New Orleans fits. The Dome can be a tough place to play. It gets loud in there, so having in your second string quarterback is not ideal. But yeah, we're going to learn a lot about San Francisco in this New Orleans game. If they can't cover, they might be real bad. If they can't win, they are real bad. All right, then we got New England at Miami. Both these teams look pretty bad in week one. It's hard to say who looked worse. I think Miami looked worse, if I'm being completely honest. Interesting fact is Tua has never lost to Miami, or never lost to the Patriots. So it's going to be difficult, but I am taking New England plus 1.5 points. Hard for me to believe that you could look worse than Miami did last week. There's a chance that this Miami team is completely imploding. They've been imploding for like 2.5 years. When is it going to be enough to fire the coach and get rid of some of these players? I don't know. I'm not a fan of anything they've been doing for a while, so. That being said, let's move on to the next game. Now we got Jacksonville at Cincinnati. Both these teams are 1-0. Someone's going to leave here undefeated. Can Cincinnati win 2 games in a row to start the season? Hard to believe that they got it in them. They looked really bad against the dog pound. So Cincinnati's 0-1 against the spread. Jacksonville's 1-0 against the spread. I'm taking Jacksonville, baby. We're going Duval. The Cincinnati team, early in the year, I feel like the points are good. We'll see what happens, but this is going to be a battle. Then we got Carolina at Arizona. Carolina's getting 6.5 points. That's not enough. Arizona covered a spread of a similar size away just last week. We're taking Arizona. I really don't like this Carolina team. This Bryce Young experiment, it needs to be over soon. I can't watch him. He's like small, like Kyler Murray. This is the battle of the small QBs. But Kyler Murray actually wins a game every once in a while. This Bryce Young guy just stinks. I can't watch. You can't have a quarterback this bad in the NFL starting. This guy should be deep on some depth chart. I think if you put him on the Eagles, say, he might be their 4th quarterback. I don't know what to do with this. We're taking Arizona. And we got Denver at Indianapolis. Indy's getting 2.5 points at home. I'm taking Denver. I think Denver's better in basically every phase of the game. I don't see... Indy absolutely went crazy last week. We'll see if they have the talent or if they want to keep playing for Daniel Jones. I think they really got a bit excited to have a decently competent quarterback behind the center last week. But we'll see if they can continue this, competence. Usually Indy can't stay competent for more than a game in a row. So we'll see. We'll see. Shane Steichen is pretty decent, but I'm going to put my faith in Denver. All right, then we got Philadelphia at Kansas City. Kansas City's getting a 0.5 point. That's not enough. Kansas City's been getting owned by Philadelphia. Philadelphia absolutely smoked them in the Super Bowl. Turned over a lot of the team. Kansas City, their skill position guys are looking really bad. And I think Jalen Carter is going to be playing. My client got time served, 1 game suspension. It counted as a suspension because he got ejected so early in the game. They're calling it a 1-game suspension, so he's back. So we're taking Philly here. I believe in this Kansas City team, but I don't believe that they're going to beat Philly. Okay, moving on. We got Sunday Night Football, Atlanta and Minnesota. Compared to last week, this is kind of a snoozer. I'm going to be taking Atlanta. They got a lot of decent stuff going on in their skill position group. Minnesota, I don't know. It took a lot for them to beat the Bears, and I think the Bears are pretty bad. So I think the Bears are going to be last in their division, and it took an absolute Herculean effort for Minnesota. Atlanta getting 4.5 points. I don't mind it. We're taking the points. And finally, we got 2 Monday games, which is kind of odd. Don't see that often. We got Tampa Bay getting 2.5 points at Houston. I think that's easy choice for me. I'm taking Tampa. I think Tampa is going to be in the. They're my pick to make it to the NFC Conference Championship. They looked good last week. They won away in the division. So we're picking them. Now we got the Chargers at Vegas. Vegas getting 3.5 points at home. We are going to take the home dog because of the rule. The rule says if it's in the division and it's in primetime, you take the dog. It doesn't matter. You don't think about it. You take the points. Also, for the previous game, I want to also state that Tampa Bay getting points, I think they're the better team. I guess the home field advantage matters, but 2.5 points is a lot, I think. I think they're going to win this game outright. I think this is an opportunity to bet on them on the money line if this line is still available. All right, so that's the whole slate for week 2. And if you're looking at these lines, you've probably figured out who I'm picking in Survivor. We are taking the Baltimore Ravens because that is a 10.5 point spread. They're playing at home. This is the Cleveland Browns. After last week, I will admit that it does give me pause to bet on a football terrorist, Harbaugh. It does make me feel a bit nervous to be betting on this team that is fully capable of collapsing at any moment. No matter how large a lead they have, this loss on Sunday is part of a pattern for them where they get games into a position where it seems like it would be impossible for them to lose and then manage to lose. It's happened a lot of times, at least a couple times a year for the past 4 years. There's something about this team. Maybe it's the way Harbaugh coaches, maybe it's the way Lamar plays. I've been an absolute Lamar defender for his whole career. I want to see him succeed. And honestly, he does succeed. He just, this is a team that could win 15 games a year if they didn't blow a few. It's crazy. But with that all said, I need to put in my tiebreaker and hit submit and say goodbye to you all. All right, we're putting in 47 as our tiebreaker. Hitting submit. I just want to say thanks for watching. Hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button. And, if you got any comments, leave them. Ask any questions, If you're predicting the opposite of me, let me know. Tell me I'm a dummy. If you believe in my picks, tell me you're tailing. Whatever you're thinking about, let me know. With that said, see you guys next week. Peace.